I know boys and men aged between, let's say, 17 and 25 who are successful in life. I know people who run businesses like I do. I know people who have good jobs, nice cars, properties of their own, perhaps rentals, but still. They have no trouble with girls. And I know people who don't. Now, I started that video like this for a reason. Because when I speak about harsh topics like this, people go straight to the comment section and say, well, this is not true. I know people who are, yes, so do I. I know a lot of people who are still really successful in the modern world. Is it possible? Yeah, it's very possible, right? I document my journey. Hopefully it's a journey to success. That's what I want to show. But what I'll say is this. I also know a lot of guys where this is not true. They're not successful. And it seems like a lot of the time, especially even now, perhaps more, we've got people who are falling behind. Because like I say, I know a lot of people who are really smashing it at life, men and women, but we're talking about men here, because this seems to be where the gap is also the biggest. I also know a lot who don't. They're adults, but they spend most of the time playing Xbox, no job, motivation is lacking, no business, no social abilities, and that is a real shock to me. I mean, it's not, because I've seen it kind of develop, but it's a shock that this is so prevalent, right? I'm not saying it's most people, it's probably not. It's probably a relatively small number of the population. But I want to point it out in a video like this, because a lot of our young men are falling behind, right? They're falling behind. And I made a video last time, right? People can say what they want about the way I look, act and whatever. I live in the real world, right? This is the internet. And what I'm saying that for is because of this. People in the comment section can say whatever. I interact with people in the world and have no trouble. I have a nice life. And I'm not going to complain. But this is a problem for our future. Especially for the young men watching this video, right? I'm not going to say what anybody should or shouldn't have achieved, especially in these modern times. We're much more accepting as to what people can do and the freedoms that people are granted. So to say you should have a good job by X age, or a nice car, or a nice house, or whatever, it's hard to say. It's a very subjective thing. But where is the ambition gone for a lot of young men? And if you're watching the video and this is you, it really is problematic, right? If you spend a lot of time, I don't know, playing Xbox, you've not got a job or any ambitions, no future goals, it's not coming towards you, it's not coming to you. I think it's because a lot of young men now struggle with the growing up stage, and what I mean by that is there becomes a point in life where you're not a child anymore. Perhaps our world protects our teenagers and young boys too much, because it's like a lot of them get thrown in at the deep end when they're 18. Now, it doesn't have to be straight to all of the responsibilities of an adult, but you need to have a life path set out. You don't need to think 20 years into the future necessarily, but it's not acceptable anymore to be a loser, a kid. And it's not my opinion, it's market forces, right? It's market forces. And what I mean by this is this. All of the men that I know that are not respected in their social circle, can't get any girls or any female attention, are the ones that spend too much time playing Xbox, don't care about their physical appearance at all, they might be overweight or underweight. They've got no confidence and skills and no job and no life ambitions. And the ones that I know that are very successful and all the aforementioned things in inverse, the same's true, the opposite of that's true. They do care and they do take care. So what I'm saying is this. It's not about what I'm going to tell you, because the market will tell you more than I will. The real world tells you where you are in terms of social value. But we're now in a time where a lot of guys are falling behind, and I think it's because they don't get the ability to prove themselves. But nobody pushes them to. You know, you've got people who are fully grown adults and they're still relying on their parents to give them direction in life. And I say it all the time, right? That's fine. That's completely fine. You can be guided by your parents until you're 30, 40, 50. But you know what's going to happen as a consequence of that? Market forces. The world's going to tell you that you are not successful and you are not going to find the success in life. You're not going to be respected by your peers. You're not going to get that girl's number. And it's just going to get worse and worse the older you get. Now, if you're under the age of 30, I think you're young enough to turn this around. But the reason why this occurs in the first place, I think, is because we live in a world where it's okay to be a loser. And nobody pushes you because of that. You know, now, perhaps more than ever, because life is so comfortable, if we want to be people of character, we've got to seek discomfort, seek different paths, right? I go to the gym, I run my businesses. I don't have to run a business. I could work in a shop, and there wouldn't be any. That wouldn't be a failure. But let's make it even worse, right? I couldn't work anywhere, or I didn't have to. I don't have to work anywhere. Basically, I could live a basic, boring life, and there'd be no value that comes from that socially. There'd be no value that comes from that in society. Now, an awful lot of young men are falling behind, and they're falling into a trap of comfort. Because when you're about 18, maybe coming into 20, 21, 25, in those years, you've got like a Y junction like that you can take. We'll say this is straight and this one's curving off. Straight, you just keep going. And I don't mean up, you just keep flatlining. You might be still living at home with parents, still living like a teenager basically, playing Xbox, not acknowledging what you need to do to improve. That's fine, but there's limited value and benefit that's going to come from that. So that's okay. And that's what happens if you carry on the same path. But the alternative is that you've got to branch off and go and find new adventure. Because like I say, nobody's going to force you, because your parents want to keep you safe, and the safest thing really is to keep you doing the same thing. But that's not going to get you to achieve. And in time, whilst they I don't know why some parents do this. They try and keep their kids on the same path, especially their young men. But in time, it's going to be the thing that results in them resenting the child, because they're going to have a 30-year-old who's been told it's okay not to grow up, and then he doesn't grow up, and now it's becoming a burden. So your parents are always going to want you to take, well, perhaps your mother more than your father is going to want you to take the comfortable path, the easy path, the path of least trouble. Fortunately for me, my mother has always told me that this is what I can't do. Because you've always got to keep moving, or else you will be that child. And now I see it. I was always like, why do I have to do these extreme tasks? But now I see it. It's because I now know things that other people may not at this age. So yeah. So people might want to keep you in a certain way. And you think, okay, that's comfortable. And you will be comfortable. But it's not your job as a peak, prime age, prime fitness person to always be comfortable. You've got to seek the things, the experiences that make you into something of character, something distinguished, right? I've got stories even now of bad times, bad things that happened, and I can sit around with a table with the boys, or perhaps a girl or whatever, and I can make people laugh about these bad stories that happened. Because it's funny. But you know what else it is? It's a life. It's not a huge life, right? I'm 20 years old. What do you expect? We're talking about stories that have happened in the last 10 years, so it's not going to be amazing, but it's funny. So what do you think is going to happen in 10 years and time from now? Well, I know what I'm going to have. I'm going to have more stories, and I don't know what they're going to be. Maybe I'm going to have to get a job and work my way up from there. Maybe the car's going to break and something from there. And it's not going to be funny at the time. But I'm seeking the challenges in life that are going to give me these experiences. And it's not just about seeking the validation of others. You're falling behind because you don't want to take risks. You don't have to get a job, don't get a job. But you're not going to get that money. You're not going to get that nice car or that house. And you're not going to be that person. You don't want to talk to that girl, don't talk to her. But you're never going to get a number. You know, you're not going to face the challenges in life by doing nothing. Life's a challenging place, and it's a challenging game. But you've got to take the risks that come with it, and take the advantages that come with it. If you're a person of zero character as of yet, of zero value, zero distinction, you've got everything in your power to become that. And it's a difficult thing, because we're told that it's okay to be okay and comfortable and fine, and it is. But you've also got to be aware that if this is a path that you want to seek, a path of least resistance, you are just going to get blown about, and you might end up in a bad place or a good place, but it's not going to be anything of your own doing. Do you think the most remarkable people in the world got to where they want to be by hoping that they land there one day, maybe? Of course they didn't, right? I don't know who you aspire to, sports stars, athletes, business people, whatever. They take risks, because you don't get anywhere if you don't take risks. Now, I'm not saying risk everything, but we have a generation of people who are scared to take any risk. So I don't know what life looks like for you, the perfect life, but a lot of our young men are falling behind because they're told it's okay to be failures. They're told it's okay to not seek adventure. Think about the past, right? Can you imagine a Victorian sitting there saying, oh, well, you know, I'll just see where life takes. People had to work hard. Can you imagine someone in World War One who couldn't be bothered? They'll end up dead. Or a soldier of the past in any time period. Look, that's what our ancestors, talk about World War One and Two, only recently, last 100 years or so, that's the time period in which our recent ancestors had to live like that. And now people are allowed to live softly. Even in the 60s and 70s, we can talk about wages being higher and houses being cheaper, but people were still working 40 hours, right? Now we've got a generation who doesn't want to do that and wants all the benefits. So why have you not got what you want? There could just be the potential that you're extremely unlucky. But what I've seen is this, in my life, and this is my experience, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Whether that's doing work smarter, or just working straight up harder. The harder you work, the luckier you get. It's a funny comparison, it's a funny fact, it's a funny link. But it's true. So you want to become something, of greatness, you want to achieve something, you've got to now push the boundaries. You don't want to get that job but it's going to pay you a lot more, get that job. You don't want to go to the gym because it's painful, go to the gym. Because you live in a time of complete comfort. And what that means is, unlike the past where, like I say, you didn't want to be a soldier in World War One or Two, but you had to. You've now got to seek the discomfort. And I'm not saying that it means that you have to go to a war, but life to an extent is a battle of some sort. Because you're battling to be the best person that you can. You're always fighting against yourself to be the best player in this game. And we see this in the games, in the actual games. Like, we got people who are desperately waiting for the launch of the new Grand Theft Auto and stuff like that. Come on. It does not feel the same to be driving a car in Forza as it does to be driving down a road on a sunshiny day with a lovely girl in the car and you're having a nice adventure. I know because I've played both, right? It's not a great car, but the rest of it was pretty good. The point is this. You can live a simulated life of happiness. Xbox. Look at what we've got now. AI girlfriend. You don't even have to seek out the validation of a girl. Or any sort of a romantic relationship. And that's fine. But what I've seen in guys that do this is there's always an empty hole in what they actually feel. Because they understand that they don't really have any of the luxuries. They've got a Lamborghini in Forza, but they don't have one in the real world, and no one cares about the fact they're a level whatever on Xbox. They might have an AI girlfriend, which I think is pretty sad, but they've not got any female attention in the real world. So they can be fine in their bedroom, but then they're stuck in their bedroom, probably in their mum and dad's house. Are you a winner at that point? Because you've got everything, right? You've got a Lamborghini, you've got a lovely girlfriend, but you don't have anything. Because it's all fake. And that's the world that we're allowed to live in. The world allows us to fall behind. We're allowed to. It can happen, it's okay. But it's not okay if you want to achieve something. The systems in place in the world will have you just coasting along, and you can do that just fine. But that's where you're going to fall behind, because it's fine, I'm not going to lie, I was 15, I still had my YouTube channel, which was making me quite a lot of money, but that's a different story. I was playing Xbox, I didn't care about the world, so I was just relaxing. And I am still relaxing a lot now, so let's not act like I'm doing 100% hard work, because I'm not. But what I'm saying is this, I was not caring. That's fine when you're 15, 16, maybe even 17. It might even be fine when you're 20. But if you just close your eyes and you just sat there with a controller, you'll blink again and you'll be 30. Now you are really behind. And this is, in my opinion, the reason why a lot of guys are falling behind. Because they're allowed to, the world allows it. The world facilitates it. It wouldn't have done in the past because people had to work to earn their keep. People had to work hard. People had to do challenges. And it was the running into the unknown that gave them the experiences. Maybe it's because we're more informed now, or maybe it's because we've got more of a choice. You can choose to look at the tough times and say, okay, that looks tough, I don't want to do that. So you just back out of it. And what's the consequence of that? Yeah, you're more peaceful, but you don't gain those stories. You don't gain the benefits and experiences that come with the challenge. And that's why a lot of guys are falling behind, I think. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. It's been quite a short video compared to some of the ones that I've been making recently. But these are just a few of the topics that I've been thinking about today. They're shorter videos that I've been filming. I film them in succession. But yeah, I've just been thinking about this and a few other things. Tell me your thoughts on it down below. Goodbye.